Fight for freedom of surviving the harsh truth of U.S. correctional facilities. Don't miss the next case. Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. The sound of metal echoed through the hallway. Clang, clang, clang. The alarms blared as red lights flashed across the cold, gray walls of the prison block. Guards shouted commands while inmates ducked for cover. In the center of the chaos stood Marcus Reed, his face bruised, hands trembling, clutching a torn piece of paper, his release letter. "You're not walking out today, Reed," one of the guards yelled, ripping the letter from his hands. Marcus's eyes burned with anger and disbelief. He had done everything right. He had served his time. But in this moment, surrounded by guards and locked behind steel doors, it was clear freedom wasn't something easily given. It had to be fought for. The noise faded as Marcus was thrown into solitary confinement. The metal door slammed shut with a thunderous bang. Darkness swallowed the small cell. His heart pounded, echoing against the concrete walls. He stared at his reflection in the small metal mirror, whispering, "They can't keep me here forever." But just then, he heard footsteps approaching, slow, deliberate, heavy. A key turned in the lock. Someone was coming. 3 months earlier, Marcus was a college student at Washington State University. Bright, ambitious, and full of dreams, he studied criminal justice with hopes of becoming a lawyer. But one night changed everything. After a college party, Marcus gave a friend a ride home. A police car pulled them over, and to Marcus's shock, his friend had hidden a stolen laptop in the trunk. Within hours, Marcus was accused of being part of a theft ring. Despite pleading innocent, the court saw him as just another young man from the wrong side of town, inside the correctional facility. Marcus quickly learned that prison life wasn't just about punishment, it was survival. The food was barely edible, the air smelled of bleach and despair, and guards treated inmates with cold indifference. He met others like him, people who made mistakes, people who were framed, and people who just wanted a second chance. But Marcus refused to let the walls break him. He joined a prison education program, spending hours reading legal books and helping others write appeals. Hope began to grow, even in that dark place. Yet the more he learned about the system, the more he realized how deep the corruption went. Files went missing. Letters never reached the courts. Inmates who spoke up disappeared into solitary. One night, Marcus found a note slipped under his cell door. "They don't want you free. Watch your back." He froze, heart pounding. Who sent it? And why now, just when his release date was near? The next morning, guards came for him, but not to set him free. Marcus's head throbbed as the heavy door slammed behind him. The small cell reeked of rust and damp air. Solitary confinement of the place where time stopped and hope died slowly. He sat on the cold concrete floor, his mind racing. Why now? Why me? His release date had been confirmed just a week before, but now it was as if the system had swallowed it whole. Hours turned into days. The light above flickered like a broken heartbeat, reminding him he was still alive barely. Through the tiny slit of the door, he could hear faint whispers from other cells. Inmates talking about transfers, new guards, and rumors of an investigation. Something was happening beyond those walls, something big. One afternoon, a voice whispered through the vent, "Reed, it's Carter. You remember me?" Marcus recognized it immediately. Carter was a quiet inmate from the library work program, a man who always kept his head down but somehow knew everything that went on. Inside, they were saying someone filed a complaint about guard misconduct. Carter continued. Names were dropped and yours was one of them. Marcus's stomach dropped. "I didn't file anything," he said, whispering back. "Doesn't matter," Carter replied. "They think you did. That's why you're down there." The realization hit him like a punch. His fight for freedom wasn't just delayed, it was being buried. 2 weeks later, Marcus was unexpectedly moved back into general population. His cellmates looked at him differently now, some with respect, others with suspicion. Rumors had spread that Marcus was working with lawyers on the outside, that he had evidence of guard abuse. He knew how dangerous that rumor could be, but he couldn't back down, not now. Late at night, under the dim glow of a flickering bulb, Marcus began documenting everything he'd seen: names, dates, incidents. He wrote it all down on scraps of toilet paper and hidden notebook pages, planning to smuggle them out through the prison's volunteer literacy tutor, Ms. Daniels. Days turned into weeks, Ms. Daniels noticed his intelligence and growing frustration. "You're too smart to be in here forever," she said quietly one afternoon. "If there's something you need to say it now." Marcus slid a folded paper across the table. "This is the truth," he said. "Please make sure it gets out." She nodded, slipping the note into her folder. That moment felt like hope, fragile, but real. But hope didn't last long. 2 nights later, Marcus was awakened by shouts and pounding boots. The lights flashed bright as guards stormed the cell block. Papers flew everywhere. Someone yelled, "Cell 43. Search everything." Marcus's heart sank. That was his cell. He was dragged out in cuffs as guards tore apart his bed, his books, his secret notes. When one of them pulled out the hidden pages from beneath the mattress, he knew someone had betrayed him. And as the warden appeared at the end of the hall, holding that same paper he'd given Ms. Daniels, Marcus realized the truth. The fight for freedom had just turned into a war. The air inside the interrogation room was thick with tension. Marcus sat shackled to the chair, sweat dripping down his forehead. Across from him, Warden Harris stared coldly, tapping a finger on the folded papers, the same ones Marcus had written, exposing the corruption inside the prison. "You think you're a hero, Reed," the warden said, his voice calm but sharp as glass. "You think anyone's going to believe an inmate over us?" Marcus didn't speak. His eyes were fixed on the table, but inside, his thoughts burned like wildfire. Those papers were his truth, his last chance to prove the system was broken. But now, they were evidence against him. Days passed with no sign of Ms. Daniels. Rumors spread that she had been removed from her volunteer position after unauthorized contact with an inmate. Marcus's heart broke when he realized she might have been punished for trying to help. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a spark of hope remained. Maybe, just maybe, she had made a copy. Then one morning, something changed. The prison buzzed with strange energy. Guards whispered, radios crackled, and for the first time in weeks, Marcus was escorted not to solitary, but to the visitation room. Through the glass, he saw a face he didn't expect, a woman in a gray blazer, eyes fierce and focused. "Mr. Reed," she said into the phone. "I'm attorney Lisa Monroe. Ms. Daniels gave me your notes." Marcus froze. She continued, "They've already reached the press. Federal investigators are reviewing everything. What you did, it's bigger than you think." For the first time in months, Marcus allowed himself to breathe. The truth was out. The fight wasn't over, but the walls that had once trapped him were starting to crack. But freedom, he learned, came at a cost. 2 nights later, an inmate slipped him a warning note under his cell door. "They know you talked. Be careful." The tension in the prison thickened. Inmates who once ignored Marcus now avoided him entirely. Guards watched him like hawks. Every sound in the night made him flinch. Then came the explosion of chaos. A fight broke out in the cafeteria, one that seemed to perfectly timed. Marcus ducked as trays and fists flew through the air. Alarms blared, guards rushed in, and through the madness, he felt someone grab his arm. It was Carter, a whisper from the vents. "Now's your chance," he hissed. "Back door near the kitchen, it's open." Marcus's heart pounded. Was it real? Trap? He didn't know. But he knew one thing: he couldn't stay here any longer. As the smoke from the chaos filled the air and shouts echoed through the block, Marcus sprinted toward the open gate, his chains clanking with every desperate step. The sirens grew louder behind him. The fight for freedom had reached its breaking point, and as the bright floodlights flashed across his face, freezing him mid-run, one question burned in his mind: had he finally escaped, or just walked into another trap?